In the underground parking garage of a mall, just as we were about to get in the car, my daughter suddenly yelled from the passenger seat, "Mom, turn off your phone. Now!" I quickly powered it down, and she whispered, voice shaking, "Mom, look over there." I followed her gaze, and what I saw sent chills down my spine. The moment I saw him, standing there in the dim light of the parking garage, his eyes fixed on us with a terrifying intensity, my world shattered. My own brother-in-law, Eric, wasn't just a guest anymore, he was a stalker, and my daughter was absolutely terrified. It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. My husband, Robert, had just set down his coffee, sighing about his brother, Eric. "Honey, don't make any plans for Eric this weekend," he'd said. "He's going through a really difficult time." Eric had been divorced about 3 months, and those once-a-week visits had somehow morphed into 3 times a week. I let out a small sigh. Right, but I promised Amber I'd take her shopping on Saturday. She needs a new dress. Robert frowned. Eric really needs someone's support right now. Before I could respond, our 16-year-old, Amber, floated down the stairs, her blonde hair in a messy ponytail. "Good morning," she mumbled, opening the fridge. "I'll be at the library after school, so I'll be home late." I studied her face. Lately, she just seemed off. Quieter. Was it just typical teenage changes, or something deeper? "What time will you be home?" I asked. "By 6. "Don't worry," she said, pouring juice, almost too quickly. Robert was already heading out, shouting over his shoulder, "I might be late tonight." "New project." The kitchen fell silent, just Amber and me. These were the moments I cherished. "So, are we still going shopping on Saturday?" I asked casually. A flicker of brightness in her eyes. "Of course. I already know what I want." I smiled. Saturdays with Amber were my sanctuary. As a manager at a big insurance company, my weeks were a whirlwind of deadlines and demands. But Saturdays? Saturdays were ours. "Dad wants to invite Uncle Eric over, but I intend to keep our plans," I told her. "Our plans come first." A shadow crossed Amber's face. "Uncle Eric is coming again?" she murmured. "Dad's worried about him." I reassured her, "Don't worry, we're still going." She nodded, but something was clearly bothering her. She just slung on her backpack. "I need to go. I'll be late." I watched her leave, a prickle of unease settling in my chest. That evening, I walked into the kitchen and found Robert already home, unusually early. And there, next to him, was Eric. "Hey, Merlin," Eric said with a weak smile. "Just stopped by." Robert explained, "Project delayed. Eric's staying for dinner." I forced a tired smile. "Well, that's nice. Amber's not home yet. Library, remember?" Robert grabbed a beer, and Eric, as he always did, launched into his divorce story. "She said she didn't love me anymore." 12 years, just those words. I listened, a mix of pity and irritation churning inside me. It was the same story every time, always from his side. I couldn't shake the feeling there was more to it. Just as we sat down, Amber walked in. "Uncle Eric?" Her voice was laced with surprise, almost distaste. "I didn't know you were coming." Robert waved it off. "Last-minute decision. Wash your hands, dinner's ready." At the table, Eric droned on about his misfortunes. Amber was practically mute, pushing food around her plate, clearly avoiding him. "How's school, Amber?" Eric asked. "Fine," she snapped, then stood up, plate in hand. "I have a lot of homework. I'll do it in my room." I heard her footsteps on the stairs and frowned. A little rude, yes, but teenagers, right? "Don't mind her," I said to Eric. "All teenage girls are like that." Later, Robert pulled me into the kitchen, lowering his voice. "Could you be a little more supportive of Eric? He's really going through it." I looked at his worried face and nodded. "I understand, but I'm keeping my Saturday promise with Amber." "Of course," he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Your shopping day with her is sacred." His words were meant to reassure me, but deep down, a knot of dread formed. I had a feeling something was about to change. That night, I peeked into Amber's room. She was asleep, but a shadow of worry seemed to cling to her face. Weeks passed, and autumn's chill grew stronger. Amber's strangeness persisted. She used to bounce out of bed, now, it was a struggle. Dark shadows under her eyes, barely touching her breakfast. "Are you feeling sick?" I asked, my worry escalating. "I'm fine," she mumbled, glued to her phone. For a second, her expression tightened. Did something happen? Nothing, she said, shoving her phone in her pocket. Pee today, gotta go early. She was out the door before I could object. At work, my mind kept drifting to Amber. Her homeroom teacher had called last week. Amber's grades are falling, especially math and science. I'd told Robert, but he just brushed it off. Typical teenage phase. That evening, Eric was in the living room. He was practically living with us now. Hey, Merlin, he said, smiling. Robert's not home yet. I borrowed his key. I forced a smile. Where's Amber? Hasn't come back, he answered, flipping TV channels. Could you grab me a beer? My irritation flared. He was treating our home like his own personal hotel. He was always looking for work, but I saw no evidence of it. Then my phone rang. It was Amber. Mom, can I stay over at Jessica's tonight? Her voice was tense. What about your homework? Finished it all, she said, too quickly. Are you sure everything's okay? If something's bothering you, you can talk to me. Nothing's wrong. I just want to be with Jessica. Her voice rose slightly. Please. I sighed. All right, but be home by tomorrow evening. As I hung up, I noticed Eric watching me. How's Amber? He asked. She's staying at a friend's, I said, unable to hide my discomfort. She seems down lately. I wonder if she has some troubles. I snapped. Well, worry about our family matters. Eric's expression darkened. Aren't I family too? Just as I was about to retort, the front door opened and Robert walked in. Hey, everyone. Eric, you're here. Been waiting with a beer? Eric grinned at his brother, the tension instantly dissipating. That night, in bed, I tried to talk to Robert about Amber again. She's been acting strange. Shut in her room, grades dropping. He yawned. All teenagers are like that. Think back to us. But this is different, I insisted. She seems afraid of something. You're exaggerating, he mumbled, turning off the light. You're worrying too much. The next day, Amber came home as promised, but she barely spoke, retreating to her room. Busy with homework, was all she said when I knocked. That weekend, I was making coffee when Amber hurried down the stairs, clutching her phone. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing, she replied, but her hand was trembling. There was a message on her screen, but she darkened it immediately when I approached. Amber, I said softly. If there's a problem, you can talk to me. She seemed about to speak when the front door opened and Eric breezed in. Hey everyone, he chirped. Beautiful morning, isn't it? Amber froze. Her face went blank. I'm going back to my room, she said. Turning and rushing up the stairs. Eric watched her go, a slight frown on his face. Young people these days are difficult, he said, reaching for a coffee cup. I went through a phase like that too. I stared at Eric. There was something unnatural about his expression. He was smiling, but his eyes, they weren't. Where's Robert? He asked. He went to the site early. I see. Eric glanced around the kitchen. Just the two of us then. Something was off. I felt it instinctively. I stood up. I need to prepare for work. It's Saturday, Eric said, a strange lilt in his voice. You don't have work, do you? I was momentarily speechless. Well, I have housework. As I started towards the stairs, Eric grabbed my arm. Merlin, I need to talk to you. At that exact moment, Amber's voice cut through the air from the top of the stairs. Mom! Eric released my arm instantly. I spun around. Amber's face was pale. What is it? Amber seemed to search for words. You said we could go shopping this weekend. Can we go today? I looked from Eric to Amber, then back. Something was happening. I didn't know what, but something was definitely happening. Of course, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Get ready, and we'll leave in 30 minutes. Later, as I steered my car into the vast, bustling shopping mall parking lot, I glanced at Amber in the rearview mirror. She was checking her phone constantly, her movements restless. Are you okay? I asked as I parked. Yes, she answered briefly, her eyes darting around our surroundings. Once inside, she seemed to relax a little. We had lunch, looked at clothes. For a moment, it felt normal, just our usual mother-daughter day. But then, the fear crept back in. Amber kept checking her phone, looking over her shoulder. When she needed to go to the bathroom, she whispered, "Come with me." That wasn't like her. My independent Amber. "Is there something worrying you?" I asked, waiting outside the fitting room. "I'm just a little tired," she mumbled through the curtain. "Maybe school pressure." "Really?" I pressed. "You've been acting strange lately. Did something happen?" Amber emerged, the new dress fitting her perfectly, but her expression was dark, anxiety clouding her eyes. "Mom," she started to say, but her phone vibrated. She checked the screen, and her face went white. "Let's buy this and go home." I was confused. "We've been here less than 2 hours. Don't you want to see other stores?" "Please, Mom." There was urgency in her voice, a desperate plea. "I'm starting to feel sick." Reluctantly, I agreed. After buying the dress, we headed for the exit. Amber clutched the bags, walking briskly. "Amber, slow down," I called, trying to catch up. "What's the rush?" "Mom, I'm sorry," she said without looking back, "I just want to get back to the car quickly." We descended into the underground parking garage. The air was thick with the smell of concrete and stale exhaust. Fluorescent lights flickered, casting cold shadows over rows of cars. The garage was eerily quiet, our footsteps echoing. "Where did we park?" I looked around. "Over there," Amber pointed. "Section C." We walked on, scanning the signs. Suddenly, Amber stopped. Her body tensed, as if listening. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Let's hurry to the car," she whispered, her voice trembling. We walked faster, turning a corner. "There it is!" I exclaimed, spotting my car. Amber rushed ahead, practically sprinting to the passenger side. As I approached from the driver's side, fumbling for the unlock button, Amber practically dove into the car and screamed, "Mom! Turn off your phone right now." I was baffled. "What are you saying, please? Turn off your phone." Her eyes were wide with pure terror. "Hurry!" Startled by her desperation, I obeyed. I pulled out my smartphone, held down the power button. The display showed shutting down, and then the screen went dark. "What is going on?" I asked, my heart hammering as I slid into the driver's seat. A tense silence filled the car. Amber's breathing was shallow and fast. She was staring out the back window, watching carefully. "Mom, look over there," she whispered, her voice trembling. She pointed to the other side of the parking lot. I slowly shifted my gaze. At first, I saw nothing but shadows, columns, and cars. But as my eyes adjusted, a figure emerged from the shadow of a parking column. "Who is that?" I squinted. At that moment, a nearby car started its engine, its headlights sweeping across the figure. The blood drained from my face. It was Eric. He was holding some kind of device in his hand, staring directly at our car. Then he lowered his gaze to the screen, checked something, and made a motion as if pointing toward us again. "That's not Eric," I said, disbelief coating my words. "What is he doing?" Tears were streaming down Amber's cheeks. "He's gone crazy, Mom. He's been following us." I stared at my daughter, and suddenly, all the pieces clicked into place. Amber's withdrawn behavior, her clinging to her phone, her fear. "He's tracking our phones," Amber sobbed. "If we don't turn them off, he can find us." "What do you mean?" My voice was trembling now. "How long has this been going on?" At that moment, Eric began walking toward our car. His expression was dark, filled with a chilling determination. "Mom, please. Let's get out of here," Amber pleaded. "He's trying to catch us." I snapped to attention. My hands were shaking, but I managed to turn the ignition key. The engine roared to life, echoing in the confined space. Eric was approaching quickly, his face twisted into an unfamiliar mask. It wasn't the face of my brother-in-law, it was the face of a predator. I quickly locked the car doors with a sharp click. Eric was just a few meters away. "Mom, hurry!" Amber cried. I threw the car into reverse, backing up quickly. Eric stood in front of the car, gesturing for us to let him in, his eyes glowing strangely. "What are you doing?" I screamed through the closed window. "Move!" He pretended not to hear, lightly tapping on the windshield. "Let's talk," he mouthed. Fear, cold and sharp, coursed through my entire body. My brother-in-law, whom I'd never feared before, was now a threat, cornering us. I didn't fully understand it, but one thing was crystal clear: I had to protect my daughter. Mom! Amber's voice was thin and weak. Help! My heart hammered against my ribs. I slammed the car into drive, sharply turning the wheel. I swerved around Eric, driving hard toward the exit. In the rearview mirror, I saw him running after us, his face distorted with rage. Mom, hurry! Amber's voice trembled with fear. I sped toward the garage exit, my hands clammy, cold sweat beading on my forehead. When the car burst from the darkness of the underground into the blinding sunlight, I finally let out a shaky breath. Amber, are you okay? I looked at her. She was hunched, hugging herself, her face streaked with tears. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I parked the car behind a small shopping district, turning off the engine. I turned to Amber. What's happening? Will you tell me? She wiped her face with a handkerchief, taking several deep, shaky breaths, gradually calming. Tell me what Uncle Eric is doing, I asked gently. He's tracking us, Amber said. At first, I thought it was just casual coincidences, seeing him on my way home, or at a cafe. But then he started sending messages to my social media. What kind of messages? At first it was normal, her voice grew quieter. How are you, or how's your studying going? But it quickly changed. He knew about my friends. He knew every place I'd been. He told me he was always watching. A chill ran down my spine. When did this start? About 2 months ago, Amber answered. After he got divorced, Uncle started becoming obsessed with us. I didn't think much of it at first. He's Dad's brother. But he installed a tracking app on my phone. When Dad asked him to fix an old computer, he must have found my password. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I took her hand. I didn't want to worry Dad. Sadness colored Amber's face. Uncle said family problems should be resolved within the family. He said, if you tell anyone, no one will believe you and you'll hurt the family. Was he trying to access my phone too? Amber nodded. He told me, I need to know where Mom is at all times. He had a strange look in his eyes when he talked about you. My chest tightened. I finally understood the meaning of Eric's strange behavior, his unnatural smile, his recent pushiness. He had been monitoring both of us. He had invaded our lives, violated our privacy. At that moment, a car screeched to a halt in front of us. Through the window, I saw Eric's car parked sideways, blocking us in. He jumped out and stormed toward us. Mom! Amber screamed. I quickly started the engine, threw it in reverse, then spun the wheel, heading for another road. Eric ran alongside, banging on the window. We're family. Don't ignore me. His shouts, crazed and bloodshot, were muffled but audible. His face was flushed red with anger. I accelerated, avoiding him, driving out of the shopping district and onto the main road. In the rearview mirror, I saw him return to his car, but I pressed harder on the gas, desperate to escape. After putting enough distance between us, I pulled into a highway service area. My hands were still shaking. Amber was quietly sobbing beside me. It's all right now, I whispered, hugging her. You're safe. He'll come after us, Amber said, trembling. You don't need to be afraid of him anymore, I said, my voice firm. I reached for the dashboard and took out my phone. I'm calling the police. But Dad, your father will understand, I said, though I wasn't entirely sure. But I needed to reassure her. Your safety comes first. I turned on my phone. The screen lit up, and notifications flooded in, multiple missed calls and messages from Robert, and from unknown numbers too. I called the police. I calmly explained the situation. My brother-in-law is stalking me and my daughter. He's tracking our phones and he's still trying to follow us. After ending that call, I dialed Robert. His voice was full of confusion and worry. Merlin, where are you? I got a call from Eric saying, you guys might have some misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, Robert. My voice was shaking with controlled anger. Your brother has been stalking us. He installed a tracking app on Amber's phone and has been threatening her. Silence on the other end. Well, couldn't it be a misunderstanding? Eric might just be worried. It's not a misunderstanding, I stated, my voice gaining strength. He chased us today, too. He's not in his right mind, Robert. He needs help. But he's my brother, Robert's voice sounded weak. And Amber is your daughter, I retorted. She's trembling with fear. You have to choose now. Your brother, or your family. Silence again. I squeezed Amber's hand, smiling at her, mouthing, "It's okay." "Have you already contacted the police?" Robert finally asked. "Yes. I understand." He sighed. "Where are you?" "I'll come get you." I told him our location. "Be careful coming here. Eric might have contacted you too." I know, determination now evident in Robert's voice. "I won't be fooled by him anymore. I'll be right there." After hanging up, I finally relaxed my shoulders. I turned to Amber. "Your father is coming. And so are the police. It'll be all right now." Amber clung to me. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have told you sooner." "It's okay," I stroked her hair. "You did nothing wrong. From now on, no matter what happens, talk to us. We're family. We'll get through this together." I gazed out the window, contemplating the difficulties ahead. Rebuilding our family, reconstructing trust, and above all, healing my daughter's emotional wounds. It wouldn't be an easy road, but I was certain of one thing: never again would I allow anyone to threaten my family. 6 months later, on a vibrant spring afternoon, my car glided under the budding street trees of Boston. In the passenger seat, Amber looked out at the scenery with a bright, hopeful expression. "How was counseling?" I asked her. "It was good," she smiled. "Dr. Lin says I'm making considerable progress." So much had changed since that terrifying day. The police had detained Eric in the parking lot, and his smartphone revealed a disturbing collection of tracking apps, photos, and notes detailing our daily activities. The court issued a restraining order, and after a psychiatric evaluation, Eric was diagnosed with severe delusional disorder. He's now under supervised probation, receiving treatment. "There's a message from your father," I said, showing her my smartphone. "He says he'll make dinner." Amber laughed softly. "It'll probably be burnt." Robert had initially struggled to accept his brother's actions, and it broke my heart to see his regret for not prioritizing his family sooner. At the same time, I deeply regretted not paying enough attention to Amber's distress. We all went to family counseling, learning the crucial importance of open communication. Robert is even trying to cautiously repair his relationship with Eric, under professional guidance, maintaining a careful distance. "Did you tell Dad?" Amber asked. "About college?" "Not yet," I smiled. "I thought we could talk about it together tonight." Amber had been accepted into an early admission program, planning to major in psychology. "I want to help people who have had experiences like mine," she'd told me. When we parked the car at the shopping mall, the same one where our nightmare had unfolded, we checked our shopping list. This time, anticipation, not fear, filled the air. "We avoided the underground parking garage," I said lightly. Amber rested her head on my shoulder. "I'm not scared anymore. I think that day, it truly made us stronger, in a meaningful way." I hugged my daughter. Yes, true family means understanding each other in difficult times and supporting each other, while maintaining appropriate boundaries. We walked into the bright, bustling mall. I looked at Amber, filled with immense pride. She had faced her fear and grown stronger. And I, too, had grown as a mother and a wife. Our family bond had been tested, but it had ultimately become stronger than ever before. "Where should we start looking?" I asked. "Anywhere is fine," Amber answered brightly. "We're not in a hurry, right?" I nodded. We had all the time in the world now. Peaceful time, to spend as mother and daughter, without being chased by fear. I took her hand, and we walked into the mall, our future bright and full of hope.